Hello and welcome to a second part of our DWR matinee tonight. I am Aaron G2, and we have a very interesting matchup tonight. We have a NESCardinality 1-1 versus Ziggy 3-1, and then also SecretAgentMand 3-1 versus ratlifTheRat at 4-1. Again, I'm Aaron G2, and with me tonight on comms is Beta Strap. How are you doing?
Doing great. Looking forward to a top tier type of race tonight. NESCardinality is the top seed of the tournament. He is only just 1-1 because he's only played 2 races thus far. So looking forward to seeing these balance out as far as getting more races in. So we have some idea of what's going on in these groups.
Absolutely. And so the Slime Pack, the group that NESCar and Ziggy in, is still very much up in the air. So this race has tons of possibilities. No one is out if they lose. No one is guaranteed if they win, but you definitely can't afford too many more losses at this point. And I believe the red slime conspiracy, as I like talking about it, this race, again, if you lose, you're not necessarily out, but I believe in Ratliff's case, if he wins, he does guarantee a bracket spot.
Yeah, I looked at the standings, and while they're not completely up to date, it looks like if Ratliff wins this race, he guarantees second place in a two-way tie with you, actually, because you beat him. You would lock up first if he wins this race.
Yes, I was not going to mention that, but thank you.
Not a problem. This just in, Aaron is also one of the top seeds in the tournament, and he has already locked up a bracket spot.
Yeah, well, I've just been enjoying watching these races and not having to stress out myself. So, but now looking to our starting stats, our builds here, strength's a little weak, but pretty high on hit points for the start, and starting out with heal more.
Yeah, this does afford the runners an interesting choice at the beginning of the game. Of course, it depends on what they see in the throne room, but assuming they don't have any fairy water or torches to use or an extra key or something like that, they're going to be only able to do consistent damage on slimes and red slimes at 6 strength.
Yeah, but with the heal more, yeah, they can swing on some other stuff and maybe get lucky. But we'll see. Anyway, we are underway getting those introductions from Lorik, and we'll see if we find anything that changes our opening. And that definitely does. First chest, sword. Second chest almost doesn't matter, but it is an herb. So you start out with the sword and heal more. We're not worried about slimes and red slimes anymore. We might be looking into zone 2 very quickly.
Yeah, with 29 HP and heal more spell with 46 attack power, you can go straight to zone 2. You can take on skeletons and warlocks and metal scorpions and wolves at this point, and I assume they're all going to be looking for that. I mean, we already see Ziggy going after a skeleton.
Yeah, not quite able to one-shot it, but it don't matter. And there you go. Gets a crit on the second hit to take it down and immediately jump to, is that level 3?
Yeah, that's an instant level 3, and he gained quite a bit of attack power, not that he needs it. And he also gained the hurt spell, and we do have a town on the screen already, too.
Yeah, could be interesting, especially if we see something like Hawksness early. I know sometimes that's the meme, first town is Hawksness, but I guess we'll see here on NESCar's side, and it's Brecconary. He leaves.
And Ziggy did another crit. He already has 2.
Oh, you don't want to burn all your crits right off the bat, or maybe he's figured something out.
Well, it's nice to get them early in the game because your levels are so compressed at this point that it's quite valuable to level up quickly early because it gets you closer to hurt more.
True, and we saw NESCardinality with a crit on a red slime. Unfortunately, isn't getting got the good luck, just not on the right enemy. Yeah, see Ziggy actually goes into Brecconary buying a small shield, a little bit of edit defense, but I didn't see what else was in Brecconary. I think there was a bamboo pole, but we're probably not going to see anybody buy that one.
Yeah, there was some modest armor, and it looks like Ratliff just hit level 5, and level 5 gives hurt more. In addition to heal. Heal is actually kind of important when you have low HP, so you're not wasting resources with overhealing.
Oh yeah, and so just speaking of that, now NESCAR is coming across the metal slimes, but just a little too much strength to possibly get that guarantee that it'll stick around. Otherwise, we've seen Jerk Caves somewhat nearby. It looks like Ziggy is following in NESCAR's path up there into what looks to be a dead end in the northeast corner.
This is actually a scenario where I don't want to see metal slimes because they waste more time than they're worth. Because once you have hurt more, you want to start seeing Magiwyverns and Knights and things like that. You want to see things that you're one-shotting and just instantly getting about 80 experience a pop, which is way more efficient than wasting a bunch of time fighting a metal slime, which you're not going to hit most of the time.
Right. We did have our seed's first death, which isn't that surprising, but the fact that we started out with Healmore and all that, I think NESCAR just wasn't quite able to take out that Wyvern, unfortunately.
Yeah, and as an FYI, the armor that's available in Breckenary, the best armor in the shop is half plate, which I would assume they'll pick up as soon as they get 1,000 gold. That's the sort of armor that can carry you through most of the seed.
Yeah, and the hit points are coming very healthily as well. I don't know if healthily is a word, but that helps because, early exploration, you want to start running all over the place with Hurtmaw with the sword and killing all sorts of stuff, but without hit points, you're basically a sitting duck to any random mid-tier enemy, but with just, even in the 50s, that's comfortable for a lot of things.
Yeah, one of the key thresholds for early game HP is getting above 45, because if any enemy ambushes you with Hurtmore, if you don't have magic armor or Erdrick's armor, you will get hit for 30 to 45 damage. So it's very important to get that HP up to 46 or higher to avoid that problem. And then the next threshold would be getting up to 73 so that you can take a DL2 breath and not die instantly at max HP.
So that's another stat that's actually quite high right now. Agility is at 50, which helped Ziggy out there. Had to run into an armored knight, uses Hurtmore. It fails, and then manages to run away first try.
Yeah, at 50 agility, he's about 30% to run on an armored knight, so it's not nothing, but he's very disfavored from getting away from it. And speaking of, there's another one that he actually got away from. Wow.
Armor Knights forgot to put on their kids today.
Yeah, they're just going at a very deliberate pace. They're not in a hurry.
I wouldn't be surprised if anyone sees them to try to gravitate towards that area because the enemies there seems really, really good. Just even beside that Wyvern is almost perfect right now.
Yeah, this is definitely a scenario where it's super important that you go first. As long as you go first, you're a favorite to beat most enemies in the game with Hurtmore. So that's all you're hoping for. And with agility around 50, even the Sharlock tier monsters are only around 20 to 25% to act first. So you're a pretty strong favorite to go first against everything now.
Yeah, we just witnessed, I think everyone has purchased clothes now except for Ziggy. You don't always see that. Sometimes people won't bother, but I guess when you have no other option and you don't see a town nearby, you might as well.
I mean, it's... as long as you're at the shop, you may as well, but it's pretty inconsequential, unless it bumps you up to the point where you're defense breaking something, but 30 to 32 makes no difference. There's nothing you're defense breaking at 32 that you weren't defense breaking at 30.
Alright, so it looks like everyone's just trying to find their zone right now, which looks like Mand is into that Wyvern AK-47 zone. Ziggy, I don't know if he's heading down that way, but Metal Scorpion is nothing that you're sad to fight. Ratliff's in the northeast corner. Golem, maybe not a Golem. That's not good.
Well, he only had 5 MP left, so you're totally fine dying at 5 MP. You're basically out of resources, so... if you see an armored knight with 5 MP, you're not going to defeat it, so... totally fine to take that Death Warp. And yeah, this is clearly a case where you hope to find a great grind, sit there for a little while, and then once you have a bit more stats, you can start pushing exploration much more aggressively, because 48 MP, it's not a bad total, but it's not a ton if you're trying to clear the map.
So Mand now finds Remolder. This was through the swamp that we saw Ziggy take the death. Ziggy, excuse me, take the death in a few moments ago. NESCAR finds Charlock, but kind of scoots around behind it. I think that was directly southwest of where it branched, like right where Ziggy is.
Yeah, and it's always good to find keys relatively early in a seed, although when you start with the sword and hurt more, it's not as consequential, but it might allow Mand to facilitate a gold grind or something like that, and drastically upgrade his armor, at which point he could explore pretty much with impunity.
Right. He did run out of money. I didn't see how many keys. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Mand. Got 5 keys, so he has plenty to check in here and not be worried about running out anytime soon.
Always nice when the runners cooperate and show us their inventory.
Exactly. I'm a little slow, so show me again. But there we go. We see NESCardinality taking out one of those armor knights. They have hurt, which makes them probably a very fun target, assuming it casts it. We hadn't seen that before, so it might be in that 25%, which maybe won't amount to a whole lot.
Yeah, seeing a hurt spell come out of them makes it far more likely that once your attack power gets a little bit higher, you're going to start switching over to swing hurt more strats against them.
Right, and otherwise we've seen Ratliff. He's popped up to level 9. Haven't seen really any spells gained from 7 to 9, and the stats have been okay. I think there's something around 15 difference in hit points, 16 increase in agility. So agility being a high stat, as long as your MP isn't too low with hurt more, isn't bad.
Yeah, it's nice to gain a bunch of defense when all you're doing is leveling and not shopping.
And NESCAR takes out the metal slime. We see those emotes out in chat. Again, like you said, you don't necessarily want to see them, but I mean, if it's just going to stay there in your way, you might as well.
Yeah, as long as you kill it, it's fine, but the vast majority of the time, they're just going to waste your time and run away, and when you have these stats and hurt more in the pocket, you don't want to waste time with things that are just running from you mostly.
Alright, and on screen we have something unique to this stream, our XP chart showing how the different characters are growing versus one another. You know, a lot of this depends on what sort of grind you have going, but this in our first 10 minutes we can kind of see. For the most part, they're staying the same. Ratliff has been a lot more on the dedicated grind than our other players, though.
Yeah, Ratliff seems to have found an area that he liked a lot, and he just sat there and just kept absolutely destroying these wonderful monsters you want to see at this phase of the game. Like, knights are just about perfect. Magiwyverns are perfect, and when you see those things relatively early in a seed like this, you just sit there because your experience total is just going to skyrocket, and you're going to get up to like level 10, 11, 12 very quickly.
Yeah, and now we see, I think, what cave is that did NESCAR just find? Oh, that must have been Swamp. So he gets through, no problem, and we'll see if there's anything in Swamp Continent, or even if it is technically a Swamp Continent, or just another part of our main one.
Mand is now checking the treasury, and the Stones of Sunlight were in there, along with the Dragon Scale.
And if you're going to find the Dragon Scale, you might as well find it early, save you some time.
And he still has 2 keys, so he is going to check the basement as he should.
Alright, Ziggy picking up a chainmail here in Remolder, so now he is also wearing clothing.
And we have the Tablet Cave in Tantagel's basement. So I expect Ziggy to pick up keys, and he'll probably do pretty much the same thing that Mand is doing now, as soon as he dies, probably.
Yeah, considering you have the sword and hurt more, there's really no rush to find thing. There's only one thing that you could find in here that would be super useful. Although, knowing that there is a gold grind, just, a couple basements down, might come in handy later.
Yep, and it looks like NESCardinality found the grave, which is way off in the east somewhere, and there are werewolves there, but unfortunately he did not have any resources, so he dies.
Yeah, it's like he went in there and it's like, whose grave is this? And the werewolf said, yours.
And yeah, with the Tablet Cave having a gold chest, that is kind of a convoluted gold grind. Given the nature of this seed being a jet seed, I would kind of be surprised if anybody does a gold grind for anything. I mean, typically in this type of seed, I would only be looking for a large shield, and then outside of that, it's just find the armor and go.
Yeah, really the one scenario would be if there are no large shields somehow, because then you really got to weigh a little bit more on possibly wasting time for the silver, but otherwise, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's really worth it.
Yeah, that's a bit more of an involved estimate where it's like you're deciding how long does it take to set up the gold grind versus how long would it take to, say, grind an extra level. If the two times are relatively similar, I would just grind the extra level and hope the stats help me more than the gold grind for a silver shield would.
Right. Through all of this, NESCardinality has been able to continue to gain lots of experience. Sent back the dedicated grind that Ratliff has done. Generally, up to this point, he is just barely ahead right now. So it looks like walking around the world has been fairly safe and fairly lucrative.
Yeah, I mean, when Armored Knights have hurt and you're not seeing red dragons anywhere, this is a great time for the runners. It's just like you stay alive, blast everything with hurt more, swing at a few things because you have decent attack power, find the occasional town, and then it's just you only die if you end up far away from everything, as Cardinality did when he found the grave.
Right, you might be a little bit sad that you didn't find anything there, but you'll have time to get back. And it's not like these sorts of early deaths usually impact things too much. If you're level 15 an hour in and you die on the first floor of grave before finding chest, then you really start to feel bad about it.
And I see Mand was trying to run away from the Armored Knight. I don't know if his first Hurtmore might have missed or something like that. And he's also lagging a bit behind in experience, so I'm a bit concerned about that. He's just now getting level 8.
Well, he is the one that's went all the way through Tablet and everything, so... We see Ratliff, looks like he's trying to find a grind in Hawk's Nest. Maybe he wants to pick up the level before he checks the search tile there.
Yeah, if you're close to a level, I generally support the idea of getting the level, although in this particular case, when you already have Heal More and Hurt More, you may as well check the spike tile.
Right, swinging at a red dragon does 21 damage right off the bat, which seems like a pretty high roll. That defense is really low, though, so I don't know. This one's going to be real sketchy, I think.
At 95 attack power, his range is 12 to 25 on a red dragon, so he would expect to beat it in 5 swings, I would say.
Oh, I looked at the wrong person's AP. Okay.
But yeah, with a defense of 41, Red Dragon can hit him for 50, so it's very much a resource-consuming situation. And Cardinality also found Rimildar, and he's now clearing the treasury and getting his Dragon Scale and Stones of Sunlight.
Through all of this, Ratliff does take out the Red Dragon, picks up level 11, another good dose of hit points. Just Radiant as a spell. This is probably going to be... Oh, it's a Green Dragon. I think you can get that.
Yeah, and Cardinality did something that top runners do. He cleared the treasury. He didn't Death Warp in here from the Mountain Cave, but he cleared the treasury, and then he went up into the throne room and then came back down to get those chests to count toward his total in case Tentagel is on top of mountain or grave, at which point he would be able to trigger the chest glitch on the second chest. But since it's Tablet Cave, all of that does not matter.
Right. And Ratliff did take out the Green Dragon and found the flute. So I mean, it's something. It's not nothing. Maybe we'll find something interesting with golems later that'll be useful.
I hope DK is watching and is very triggered by that. And Ziggy is now clearing the treasury, so Ziggy and Cardinality are doing pretty much the same thing about a minute apart from each other.
Checking to see if DK is watching made me think, like, oh, is there a Bengals game on right now?
And Cardinality picks up his half plate, so he's probably only going to go to a weapon shop later on in the seed if he's hoping for a large shield, and that's pretty much it for him.
Yeah, able to clear out, you know, the need for gear actually can save quite a bit of time, because it's somewhat underrated how long it takes to walk around every shop in Cantland to, I mean, Cole's shop isn't too long, but even Breckenary seems like a little bit of a time slog to get to.
Yeah, opening all 3 shops in Cantland is probably about a full minute, going from one end of the town to the other with the NPCs in the way and everything.
Alright, so Ziggy making their way through Tablet as well. So we still haven't seen Mountain. I think we only saw about 1 step of Grave. We're all just kind of waiting to get those next set of items coming in.
And there's the staff cave for RatLifTheRat. I think Cardinality saw that earlier as well. But yeah, at this point, it's just a frantic hunt for Mountain Cave, and in Cardinality's case, going back to Grave for other people find the Grave.
And I think that's where Ratliff... No, that's North Swamp, so we'll see if he gets through it and X's out the south. We did see a NESCard go through there. I don't remember if that's where Grave was or if he found anything, though.
All I remember about Grave is that it's on the east coast somewhere. It just looked like it was out in the middle of nowhere.
So this is an interesting walk from Ratliff. He's been at Death's Door for quite a while now, and has been using fairy water, and nothing is finding him at all. So, you know, the overworld's being nice too, but he's getting, you know, if nothing is on this continent and he's able to fully explore it without gaining a single bit of experience, that doesn't feel good, but not having to come back would. But unfortunately, there's the Star Wyvern.
And the Star Wyvern sends him home, and again we have the XP chart, and NESCard and Ziggy race is basically completely tied. It's pretty much been that way most of this seed. They've been tracking each other pretty consistently throughout, so I'm not surprised that their experience totals are so close together either. And as noted before, Mand has been lagging behind Ratliff in experience, but Mand also did some exploration, got keys, cleared the treasury, did the whole walk around to clear Tablet Cave. It's like doing that walk around Rimmildar, that takes time. Doing the walk around Pantagel takes time. Diving Tablet Cave is like a full minute. It's like all this stuff just eats time, but you definitely want keys.
Yeah, and so the fairy water is a deliberate strat from Ratliff. He's going to buy more here in Breckenary. Looks like he's really not interested in fighting what tends to... There just seems to be a lot of miscellaneous enemies in the overworld. But it's a little odd. I mean, he's level 11. He's seen a green dragon, you know, so he knows that there's a reasonable grind. But, I don't know. It seems interesting. Plus, I don't think he has seen keys yet either. He's our only player who's missed for Molder, so that experienced lead may completely disappear once he does.
Yeah, and I can totally understand the decision to load up on Fairy Water here, because they still don't have Repel. They might not see Repel till as late as level 16. And because of his armor situation, his defense is only 43, which means when he uses Fairy Water, he's only dropping enemies up to and including wolves. And when you have Hurtmore, you really don't care about that tier of monsters at all.
Yeah, that is a very good point. I didn't think to look at the actual defense stat, but yeah, so I don't have to worry about that. I think he's heading in the way of Remoldar now, though, so we might see that here in just a little bit.
Yep, so now it's going to be Ratliff's turn to do what Mand did and what Cardinality did and what Ziggy did. And it's just a question of when he dies, because I don't see the importance of casting Return at this point to clear that stuff, because it's like, yeah, the armor might be in the treasury, but the armor doesn't really do much for grinding, and you're going to die at some point to refresh your resources anyway. So it's not like it gives you some sort of insurmountable advantage to clear that stuff immediately.
I believe Mand has found something new in Grinham. We have 3 chests behind the door here and a large shield, which we mentioned a few times, so getting that out of the way. Still wearing just clothes, but, you know, at some point he's going to find some sort of armor, probably.
And clearly he should have tried to buy armor there to manip the Erdrick's armor behind the locked door here. And one of the other things to watch out for here is whether or not Mountain Cave happens to be back here, because if that's the case, then there's 8 chests.
True, and at that point, you have an instant grind of whatever you want, which I guess you'd have to go all the way to the basement, but maybe that won't happen. No one else seems to think that that's a good idea, so I'm just going to assume it won't be. Gold is in the basement's basement. It's in Tablet 2.
Yeah, it's like if you were to get that gold, I mean, at least in Mand's case and now everybody's case, is they have outside, so you could dive Tablet and get out of there relatively quickly. But, and there's the chainmail purchase for Mand, so he is trying to manip Erdrick's armor back here. Good job on you.
It's always fun when you double check the keys because you don't remember how many you have and you see you have 6.
Well, we have a silver harp find, so that's a key item. You gotta have the harp, you gotta have the stones, you gotta have the token. Like, all those are necessary because you gotta trade the harp for the staff, and then you take all 3 of those things to the Rainbow Drop Cave, get the Rainbow Drop, then you can make the bridge, and then you can go to Charlock and do the final dive of the game. So it's good to get that out of the way, because I do believe Mand has seen the Staff of Rain Cave at this point. I think at least 3 people have seen it by now.
Right, it's on the way to Swamp Cave, which Mand noped out of, which is how he's able to find Grinham for the first time. He was out of resources, and instead of diving through like both NESCAR and Ratliff did, he just kept going and was rewarded with some good town information.
And we have a totally useless Stones of Sunlight cave behind Garenham with a torch in it, sadly. But I can see the rationale behind both decisions regarding the Swamp Cave. I typically try to push through it because, like, if I haven't seen Garenham yet, it might back into Garenham. It might also back into Tantagel, depending on the scenario. And it's like, if you get a free shot at chests or keys, that's always a good thing.
I would say with our perfect knowledge as spectators and commentators and all of that, we're missing Cantlin, Cole, and Mountain Cave, and I think that's it at this point, right?
Yeah, and while we know where Grave is, we have no idea what's in it, other than werewolves.
And it's a very long walk to Grave, so not dying is going to be pretty important. Mand, however, he's found a town and a cave down here, and
that's
that
Mountain Cave.
Yeah, this could be very good for him. 5 checks in here, and that town, either way you slice it, is going to be something that either leads to a key item or at least crosses off one of the key item checks.
It's always good to get an exploration lead on your opponent, because if you know there's a good spike grind available, like a green dragon, which is, to me, green dragons are kind of marginal because they resist hurt more quite a bit relative to other things. But if you have a reliable spike grind, it's great to get your exploration out of the way as soon as you can, because the spike grinds are just so efficient relative to everything else, usually.
Yeah, I don't mind green dragons. I think they require a little bit more thought than most of the grinds do, because there's always a bit of, well, what if I swing, or what if I hurt more? You know, you have to kind of bottle that equation up. But Hawksness also wasn't really near anything, as we now see it on this car screen, so Swamp Cave, however, wasn't too far away from Grinham, but I don't think anyone's checked that spike yet.
And so far, Mountain Cave has been a bust. But yeah, I don't think I've seen anybody check the Swamp Spike. We've just seen people go through, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, question in chat about the sprites our characters are using. There are a number of selections within the randomizer itself. I believe NESCardinality is picking the normal hero of Dragon Warrior. SecretAgentMand, however, is Huang Zhang from Destiny of an Emperor. And Ziggy, I can't remember what Ziggy is from. Beta, you might know that one.
That might be from Bubble Bobble. Looks like one of the dinosaurs from Bubble Bobble to me.
Thank you, Tilo. Doran from Dragon Warrior 4, and Ratlif is the Metal Slime. Possibly trying to RNG manip fighting more Metal Slimes as a Metal Slime. Anyway, it looked like the big reward from Mountain Cave for Mand was a fighter's ring, so that one is totally skippable.
Yeah, Fighter's Ring was in Chest 5. Ratlif just got Gwaelin. The Spike monster in Swamp Cave was an Armored Knight. So that, with the hurt spell casting from them, is a pretty decent grind. Normally, Armored Knights are annoying because you typically double hurt more of them for most of it until your attack power gets pretty high. But with the hurt element of it, they are much easier than they normally are.
I like that, Tilo. And now Ziggy has found coal. I don't think we've seen coal yet for anyone. And it has the Death Necklace, which leaves, I think, Token in armor still out there somewhere for us.
And there's a silver shield there. Cardinality took out the Green Dragon in Hawksness and got his Fairy Flute, along with Disappointment, I'm assuming.
Well, he took out a few of them, so I think he might be in the lead in experience right now. He's really close with Ratlif one way or another. And Ratlif looks content to just explore the world with the princess for a while, pulling a little bit of an Aladdin here.
Ziggy and Cardinality are pretty much in a dead heat for experience. They're going back and forth, and Ziggy sees a town in the middle of all of this swamp.
That has to be Cantlin, I think. Now, speaking of, oh shoot, Ratlif taking the death there to that red dragon. Guess Gwaelin weighed him down a little bit, wasn't able to get away. But yeah, looking at the experience graphs now, we've seen kind of an evening amongst everyone.
Yeah, and we kind of expected that, especially in the Mand-Ratlif race, because Mand had that exploration edge and was doing all the walkarounds for keys and such, and then Ratlif had to do it. So that gap has tightened a bit, although Ratlif still has about a full level advantage. And Ziggy right now is walking through Cantlin, presumably looking for a large shield half-plate combo.
You have to go down here to talk to this dude anyway, so you might as well. He does pick up the half plate, so good call there.
Yeah, his gold total was pretty much perfect for half plate large shield, and now we're gonna get a coordinates check.
We did find a large shield somewhere. I think it was in Grinham, but there we go. 80 south, 73 west. I don't know, this continent is huge. That might be walkable, but...
I generally am not a fan of walking 150 plus steps on a manual count. That seems ridiculously time consuming, and since you know where the swamp cave is, and you have the ability to kill literally everything in the overworld, just go there and get Gwaelin and be done with it.
Right. This is the one caveat I'll put to that, though, is that Tantagel is a long walk from everything. It's in a dead end up there in the north, and anytime our players get sent back, they are eating minutes to do it. So having to get Gwaelin to do that before Cantlin could be absolutely massive. if anyone does do a preemptive princess grind, but they're going to be strongly encouraged not to do it. Excuse me, princess rescue, not a princess grind. I wonder what that would be.
I guess that would just be repeated rescues and death warps and rescues again. I mean, I saw Ratlif get Gwaelin, but I don't know if he brought her back.
Nah, he got taken out by the red dragon basically the same time that the Asmati charts popped up.
That's unfortunate because that preemptive rescue would have been super valuable with these coordinates.
Absolutely, Caitlin is quite a distance away. Now, Mand is finding Cole and is about to find the... well, this is actually going to be a pretty good item for this Seed Death Necklace. We're already at 130 hit points on everybody but Mand's screen, so definitely going to be useful.
Yep, and Cardinality is also in Cole at the same time. He's going to peruse the shop, and he sees the silver shield and is probably annoyed. He definitely wants a large shield, because he does not want to go to any more weapon shops.
Speaking of that, Ratlif does find Grinham. That is the one place I think we've seen it. And I think we've seen every town now, so that is our sole location for large shield purchases, which is, it's weird when we make a big deal about it, I think, but then it's also is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, 6 defense is not nothing, especially when you get to the end game and you're hoping to repel things, because we do see 82 agility at level 12, which is a tremendous amount of agility for a non-agility build. I mean, it's a tremendous amount even if you do an agility build and get that at level 12, so they're going to be up with, if they can find large shields, they will be above 80 defense when they get to go mode. So Mand has already guaranteed that he'll get to 80 plus defense.
Now, we talk about time saves and that sort of thing. The fact that Mand already had that shield, didn't check any shop in Cantland, but we already saw NESCAR check one, and he's probably going to check, yeah, it looks like he's checking the key lock one too, so just some extra time here. But although, I don't know if Ratlif checked this, or excuse me, Ziggy checked it when he was here. I guess Ziggy is still here.
Yeah, we have 3 runners in Cantland at the same time, which is truly incredible given where the town is relative to everything else.
I swore Ziggy left. Maybe he came back. Maybe I just didn't notice. Maybe I got excited about the coordinates and forgot about him.
Yeah, I think he wanted a refill and he wants to clear this area.
Well, NESCAR is the one who has the really important information of the things, or the thing that has eluded everybody else right now, and that's Grave being on Second Continent. We haven't seen anybody else find that yet, so that is kind of our big question mark. And then we'll see if anyone tries to hand count this, or maybe not hand count is the right word, but if we see a count or a princess rescue, just see how that works out, I guess.
Yeah, so I wonder if Cardinality is going to do the count first or go back to Grave.
It's a good question. With what he has gear-wise, he's found the flute, he's found the death necklace. He knows it's required one way or another. However, he could pick up the princess and then go to Grave. I mean, that's definitely an option. And consider a deep dive if he does not find the other thing. But the fact that he hasn't found Grinham means he still doesn't have the harp. So I don't know if that would be in his mind yet, since there's one more thing to find.
Yeah, he's missing a lot of chests, and Ratlif just got his Staff of Rain, so he's just a token away from being able to get the rainbow drop.
Right, and oh yeah, also next to Grinham was the Mountain Cave. I didn't even see if Ratlif went in there or not, or maybe he missed it. If you come at it the right direction, you might not see it because it's a little bit northwest of the tile there.
Yeah, this game has a tendency of really punishing you if you don't walk the extra row or column sometimes, where you're just like, you're one tile set away from seeing a thing. And I think that's probably what happened to him.
I don't want to discount the fighter's ring as nothing, but if you're going to miss like one like if you end up missing the fighter's ring, you don't nearly feel as bad as if you miss like the death necklace or something else like that. So we'll see if he heads that direction. It kind of looks like he is.
I mean, with perfect knowledge, it's totally fine missing Mountain Cave, but if you're running the seed, you definitely do not want to pass over something with 5 chests in it when you don't have Erdrick's armor yet.
Right, and if we wind up with armor in Sharlock, which is still a possibility, then you're going to end up going to Mountain anyway. There's nobody, I think, that skips Mountain Cave to just die of Sharlock for the armor. If you do say that you do that, I don't believe you.
Yeah, the only scenario where that's remotely possible is if you have a deep resource pool, if Sharlock's close to start, and you have literally no idea where Mountain Cave is. Then I could see the play being made.
So Ziggy does get the Princess Warps back, so he will, usually in my take, I want to get the Princess before I find Caitlyn if I find them in that order, but the fact that he saw Caitlyn lets him know that he needs the Princess and to do it that way. So even though this is going to be a long count, even though he's losing quite a bit of time to do this, this is probably much safer, much smarter than trying to count it out.
Yeah, the thing to keep in mind if you do a manual count in this game is that you have to do stutter stepping, and it is just so time consuming, just constantly writing down where you are and trying to landmark. And if the map is anywhere near confusing, it's just an awful time. And with a count this big, I would estimate it would probably take you at least 3 to 4 minutes to count that out manually, accounting for all the encounters that you're likely to get.
Right, so yeah, it looks like Ziggy is heading that way. Maybe might be trying for a grave check, or excuse me, a swamp check. I'm always, if Swamp's just there, I kind of want to walk through it and blow the horn, so to speak, just to see if Gwaelin, if it happens to be on the Swamp continent. I get the feeling it's not, though, because just the way this map is set up, there's so much south and so much west to find all of the things.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say with coordinates that big. That's like, what, 6 screens south? Like something like 6 screens south, 5 screens west, something like that. Like that's a lot of screens. But I could totally see it not being on the second continent. And Mand just got Gwaelin as well.
Alright, we get our experience chart update. Again, NESCAR and Ziggy have basically been almost tied this entire time. With exploration and experience. They've just been kind of doing the same things. Man and Ratliff, however, have been a little bit different. Ratliff still, actually his experience lead has been growing. I think last time it was just over 1,000. Now it's 1,700 and possibly breaking 2,000 here in just a moment. However, his exploration hasn't, just the fact that he hasn't found Caitlyn yet is actively hurting him at this point, I think.
Yeah, to speculate, I would say if the search tile is Erdrick's armor, that would allow Mand to close that gap really quickly with all these swamp tiles out here and everything. I feel like that would really help him, but if it's the token, then it's like, eh.
Ziggy kind of faked this out there, tried to buy a hand axe, changed his mind at the last moment, and instead gets a large shield. So now his shield's problems are solved for the rest of the city.
Sadly, Dragon Warrior does not allow people to dual wield.
I saw somebody drop a hand axe command in chat, so maybe it has something to do with that too. They were trying to manip Ziggy into getting one.
So Ziggy gets his harp, and this should surprise nobody. Cardinality is entering Garenham right after him and will have the same things. So once again, these two are just in lockstep, which is absolutely nuts.
I believe NESCAR has just the slimmest advantage in experience, and he does have that knowledge that Second Continent it has grave, but I get the feeling that Second Continent isn't very big. So anyone who decides to actually go through there might find it pretty quick. But having already cleared, well, no, I guess haven't cleared Mountain Cave either, but it looks like he's going to head that way just now.
Yeah, Cardinality has a 2 green dragon lead on Ziggy, which is in a hurt or seed, that's basically nothing. And yeah, I think we're just gonna see them do the same thing we saw at the bottom. You're just gonna see them clear mountain, and they're just gonna be super annoyed that the only thing in there is the fighter's ring.
Well, that knowledge, once you've gotten through everything, the fact that the other runners are finding grave last, if that is the case, if it is the actual last thing you find, that doesn't feel bad because you just dive as long as you need to. As soon as you find something you can warp out, there's no real decision to make there. Until if you don't have everything, you keep going. If you have everything, you don't. And it just makes it a lot nicer.
And since grave is so far away from everything, it makes sense that it's the last thing you'd find normally.
So this is the point where I would try to figure out who's still missing what. But Ratlif dropping in on Cantlin here, thought about getting some keys. I think he changed his mind. He's going to get those coordinates first. And once he does that, I think he has everything, like almost all of the knowledge. He's still missing that large shield because I don't think he checked the shop in Varinham. Or wait, did he buy one? I can't remember.
It's been so long since he went to Garenham, I honestly don't remember seeing him do it.
So obviously this is where we need Ratlif to randomly check his status so we can see.
But once Cardinality clears Mountain Cave, I'm very curious to see what he's going to do next, if he's going to go for coordinates or go for grave.
True. There's the advantage of doing the coordinate check first is that gives you the knowledge of how far you have to go into grave. Because if the armor is on coordinates, then you only go as far until you find the token. And if the token's in the coordinates, then you probably full clear grave unless you find the armor. I'm wondering exactly where Ziggy has. I haven't seen him search with the Wayland's love recently, so I have no idea how close he is. He must feel like he's a little bit too far to the west, which seems odd when it's a 73 count. But
well, Ziggy was just in Garenham and the Mountain Cave, so I don't remember where exactly those are relative to the start, but that's where he just was, and now it looks like he's on the bottom of the map.
So maybe he has checked for the coordinates and just missed it? I don't think so. Somebody would have noticed it by now.
And Cardinality picks up his Staff of Rain. So 3 people now have the Staff of Rain. Ziggy is the only one that hasn't done the exchange yet.
And as mentioned by someone in chat, we do see that the AK-47 has heal more. It must not proc very often though, because I swear we've killed a few of these by now without seeing it. Oh, there it is on screen. So I guess it's 50%, and I guess if you're hurt mooring them, it's not going to be that common to see it.
75% hurt and only a 1 in 16 stop resist. And Cardinality is picking up Gwalen, so it looks like he is in fact going to do the count right away, which is totally fine. He knows where grave is, it's totally fine. Although maybe he's gonna, well, actually it looks like he's gonna go through swamp and try to push to grave, I guess. I mean, he does have some resources left, so it makes sense to at least try. mean, maybe he'll get either the token or the armor in the top 3, and then he's just instantly done and can cast outside return.
True, and this might be the outside probably saved him resources over possibly having to triple cast heal more. Ziggy is in south, and he's going back through. He did not find Grave and just left. That could be really, really bad for him. It was a narrow path through, but that still seems odd.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that can swing a race, unfortunately for him.
Now, it's possible he didn't like his resources or something, and he came back through to heal up, but it still seems a little odd.
Yeah, to be fair, he doesn't know where Grave is, and he doesn't know how big the second continent is, so if things are a little bit iffy, I guess it makes sense to double back, but I think I would have at least pushed on a couple more screens before making that decision.
And he is going in for the immediate heal, so he might be rushing right back. Meanwhile, we see Belt, Key, and Wing, so top of Grave is pretty inconsequential. And we did just, Mand found the token, so Mand has everything except for the armor, and we'll see if Deep Grave has the armor, or if armor is in Sharlock.
Yeah, now the question becomes, what monsters will Cardinality find on his dive, and how much will they sap his resources? Because he only has 27 MP, and casting outside and return will cost 14, so that's something to keep in mind here.
And what he's finding might honestly be kind of worse than fighting hard enemies. He's fighting nothing but babies without repel up. He's getting stopped every 5 steps. So, I don't know. It just depends if that encounter rate sticks or not.
The really depressing thing for him is Repel comes at the next level. He doesn't know that, but Repel is at 14, so if only he gains 160-ish more experience, he has Repel and he can get rid of all of these things.
It only needs to take out about, about 100 or so of those red slimes.
Oh, we have gold in chest 4, so the dream of armor being in Sharlock is still alive and well, and Ziggy now does his harp trade-in.
And Mand right on the heels of NESCAR here. We saw the front chest wasn't anything particularly interesting, so just going in for the last one here. Then after that, Mand is, whatever happens, assuming he clears it, is grind and go. Here we have our updated graphs. It's been another 10 minutes. Again, Ziggy and NESCAR have been even on experience this entire race. Now, Ratliff has a 3,500 point experience advantage over Mand, which Mand will have to catch up. And there it is, armor in Deep Grave. Wow.
Okay, so that's a huge find for Cardinality. He now knows he just has to do coordinates to get his final item, so it doesn't really matter what he does here. He can go grind, or he can go get the item. Personally, my preference is to get your go mode and then get the item in this case, because I'd want to just raise my defense up enough so I can repel literally everything I can and just make that walk that much quicker.
Absolutely. So what we're seeing on the top here is Ziggy is resorted to grinding green dragons. I don't know, maybe the resources might have been a little bit tight before. It seems like now at 14 it should be fine, but he might just exhaust his resources. But he really needs to get to Grave quickly, I think.
And I didn't see it, but it looks like Ziggy already did his count as well, which makes sense because he did have the GPS system to do that. So yeah, he just has Grave left to check for treasure chests, and he should at least have an idea where it is. I don't know if he's a mapper or not, but if he does map, he should know that it has to be through the swamp cave.
Yeah, that would be the one concern, is that his map searching wasn't exactly, it looked like he might have just missed it. which could be really bad. And then there is that scenario where maybe he's grinding to go straight into Charlock and to not even look for it, which I don't know. That could be about worst case scenario, I think.
Yeah, that's... Giving up 5 chests is a substantial gamble, especially for the armor. You really don't want to do that. But these stats are a little bit skewed. We have 155 HP at level 14. And then we have the nice strength at 69. And then we have 84 agility. So this is clearly a Death Necklace seed. At this point, I would say it looks like level 15. You have 127 with the Death Necklace, that's 6 to 13. Not enough MP, sadly. Even with Fairy Waters, there's not enough MP to get there.
Yeah, you might be able to count on some doubles, but yeah, that seems like a bit of a stretch. You'd be hoping for too much. And although we haven't seen, I don't know, if we've seen any potential Charlock enemies that have been scary at all. It seems like most of them have been the opposite direction.
Well, Armored Knights would consume a little bit of resources if they're on the spike tile with the stupid heal more. I think Red Dragons just bite, and I think Blue Dragons also just bite, so... Everything just seems it just wants to attack.
I guess this was in before Wombo Stonemen or something like that.
50% heal on Blue Dragons. I mean, I don't think that really matters that much. I mean, when you're in Go stats, you can swing through that. And Ziggy now realizes he has already done his staff trade. He's told to go away. He's told he has no business there. Because he already has his Staff of Rain.
I was confused for a minute because I was like, wait, is that the jerk? And then no. So, okay. Yep, so he still has to hunt down the jerk, but I think he's seen it already because I think he's kind of in a localized position. And now we see NESCAR going in directly to that green dragon grind. He's about 900 experience behind Ziggy, but really Ziggy has no room for error. He needs to get to the grave. He needs to get all the stuff as soon as possible because NESCAR is going to be ahead of him by the time he's done with that.
Basically, this is a race between Ziggy finding Grave and Cardinality finding Go Mode plus token. I mean, with the GPS, it's pretty straightforward to get it, but it's still a pretty healthy walk to get over there to get the token. As far as the Fairy Water math is concerned with fighting the Dragon Lord, I really hate it in this case because if you notice their inventories, they have a Death Necklace, they have Gwaelin, and they have a Fairy Flute. That's 3 lost slots. So I believe their cap on Fairy Water is just 4 in this case, so it's not a great scenario when you have all that inventory clutter that you cannot get rid of.
Yeah, and at 127, which is the current high water mark for attack, that's probably saving a little over a round, and it's only going to get worse as that goes along, so it might not even be worth checking in. We are see Ziggy going into Charlock, so he's abandoning Grave, or maybe he's just faking us out, I don't know. Dang it.
Yeah, lots of runners like to pop the bridge as they go past Charlock for some reason. I honestly don't know why.
It's just if you're being restreamed, so you can mess with the commentators.
And also, it looks like Mand is grinding in the top of Charlock on a golem of all things.
This is weird just because the Green Dragon didn't seem bad. And, I mean, the AK-47 isn't great, but, I don't know. It seems weird, but, I mean, there's some people who really don't mind golem grinds at all.
I like them a lot more if I'm not playing the flute every 3 seconds.
Right. Hashtag speed hacks for standard.
And also, Ratliff is currently diving Grave. Now, he does not have the token yet, but he does have the GPS. So again, this is one of those things where he's going to dive to bottom of Grave, get the armor, get out, walk to the coordinates, and it's just a question of how much of this gap can be closed by Mand while Ratliff is doing all of this. I think he'll close the gap somewhat, but I don't think he's going to close it all the way. It's too big of an experience gap, and it's not like Mand is rapidly grinding Axe Knights or Red Dragons or something like that. He's walking back and forth in Charlock.
Which is really not doing him any favors right now. Just golems, which I would put probably below both of the other spikes right now.
Yeah, with the 75% hurt from Armored Knights, you're taking very little damage from them, and like all you have to do is just lead out with a stop spell, and if you want to hold on to your resources, you could actually just swing through them if you wanted to.
So Ratliff getting the information that Grave is kind of on the southeast corner of the map. So I think we will probably... he's still searching around. He must think that... I don't know, I hope he didn't get confused with that west to east, because when it says west, that means you're on the wrong side.
Yeah, that's always a concern, because the coordinates are given to you one way when you get them from the old man, and they're given to you another way when Gwaelin gives them to you, and people have... I feel like everybody has reversed that at least once in their lives playing this game.
Yeah, and he warps out. I don't think that was necessarily faster, but it's probably easier for him to just kind of reset everything in his mind as he goes in and looking for that token. Again, the way that the setup is here, we have NESCardinality versus Ziggy, and then SecretAgentMand versus Ratliff. So even if we compare people across the races, it's more for our own interest. But what we're seeing right now is kind of an interesting comparison between the two, where Ratliff is just missing one item, and then he has to turn in something. And Mand, however, is just missing levels. And we don't know what go level is. It's not 15. It could be 16. It might be more than that. It could very much come down between Mand and Ratliff if there is an iffy level who is aggressive enough to go for it.
Yeah, if I had to assess this race right now, I would say that Cardinality has a commanding lead because he is on his grind, and he's going to stay there until go mode. He has all of his items. He just has to do the rainbow drop exchange. Ziggy still has to find the grave, and in the bottom race, I would say Ratliff has a commanding lead simply because he has the information. Like, he has the coordinates, he has the GPS, he's going to find the token at some point here, and he has about a 3,000 experience point lead, which should hold up.
And there we see it with just the gap kind of looks like it's narrowing, but I think, yeah, at one point we had a little over 3,000 experience difference between Mand and Ratliff, and now it's down to about 2,500, but Ratliff was still getting quite a good amount of experience as he's been doing this, while Mand was doing probably something less than optimal. On the top, though, Ziggy had a lead for a while, but NESCAR has completely evened up. I think he's actually in the lead now, and that's all NESCAR needs. So the same thing on the top section. If level 16 is an iffy level, or if we end up on an iffy level, it could be decided by who is wisely aggressive or who is wisely conservative.
I would think if the level is super iffy, I would expect Cardinality to grind an extra level. He seems to be averse to super high volatility strategy, which is totally understandable because, like, if you go on an iffy level, it's infuriating if you just get a parade of red dragons or something like that and you drop a heal more at a bad time. But if he knew where he was in this race, if 16 is iffy and he knew his standing in this race right now, he would definitely get 17 because Ziggy apparently has no idea where the grave is, and he might be diving Charlock. Yeah, looks like he's gonna dive Charlock and hope that the armor is in here because he has no idea where the grave is. So we know the armor is not in here, unfortunately for him. But yeah. he missed that narrow path, and this is going to be costly.
Yeah, this is probably the best thing that could happen to him right now is to get sent home quickly. And then maybe he changes his mind. But as long as he's in here, I mean, he's gaining some experience, but it's not going to be nearly as fast as NESCAR. And it's ultimately going to be, quite a bit lost time. And it looks like maybe I don't know, he was swinging really low on that golem. That was kind of surprising.
Yeah, 117 attack power. He's got a max of 43, I think. I think his range is like 21 to 43 on a golem. So should be killing them in about 4 swings on average.
Yeah, I guess you can't. They can't dodge. So if you know it's gonna land, then you might as well do it. But it still seems a little weird to me, I guess. Meanwhile, again, the experience difference is still pretty big. We'll see what Ratlif does since he had to warp back to turn in the rainbow drop there. If he goes to a grind or if he goes into Charlock to grind. I think that was the reason why Man checked it, is because it's the closest thing to home. But it's just the way this map is. It's like a giant Z at the start. I refuse to acknowledge that he's going in until okay, now he's actually gone in. So it looks like that's what Ratlif wants to do.
Yeah, proximity matters a lot, but usually I would say a Charlock grind is kind of a last-ditch resort because you're only getting an encounter every 16 steps. And if the top zone isn't really good, you're just wasting a lot of time walking without encounters.
It is also possible that he wants to get the level on the way down, and this might be a serious dive. Although running from the Green Dragon, I don't know, that seems weird. Fight the AK-47 one from the Red Dragon or Green Dragon.
He might just be straight up going for it.
I have to imagine he's expecting something on the level because this seems pretty extreme. But he's throwing out the Radiant. The one thing I would mention something from yesterday. We're doing comms on his race. He did the same sort of thing. Decided to dive for the level. He ended up getting it before he got there because the overworld was crap. But anyway, we'll see level 16 on NESCAR's screen here in just a moment as he finishes off the Screen Dragon.
No power.
Oof. So that's not going to be so good for Ratlif. There is really nothing in that level that's going to help him on this dive. And otherwise, he'd be looking for quite the gap to gain here. Does he still have a bunch of Fairy Waters? Not that I think that is going to help a whole lot, but I don't know. Maybe he would need like 2 or 3 doubles, I think, even if he gets down here at full resources.
The interesting thing about Ratlif's dive is that if he had bought a large shield, the wizards would be defense broken and would be completely free on this dive, and he has seen at least a couple of them, I think.
I haven't seen his stats, and I'm still wondering. It's not to dismiss our tracker at all, but I do kind of wonder if he might have got it because it's with only one. We've only have our one Schmike today, unfortunately, and it's been kind of hectic with most part people doing different things. Although for the Ziggy and NESCAR kind of hugged for a long time.
I bet he'll check his stat screen once he gets 16 when he's completely disappointed.
Yeah, I don't hate this play. At first, I was really questioning it, but it doesn't seem like that bad of a thing, especially if he does have something mitigating like Fairy Water, or it's just going to crit everything on the way down. And it looks like Mand is going at 15 as well, so wow.
Well, it's a 1v1, and aggressive play can pay off, but it's a bit of a gamble. If you lose any resources, okay, there's 117 and 83, so yeah, he does in fact have that large shield. Okay, so the max roll that DL2 can do to him is 49.
Yeah, that 162 hit points, that does make for decent double opportunities. And again, he probably only needs 2 or 3. It depends if he still has those fairy waters. That fairy waters probably narrow it by 1. And otherwise, what's normally a 16-round fight with 11 heal mores, assume 2 extra attacks, drop the I, cross the T. It's possible.
I'm not at all confident in my doubles math. Like, I think the way I look at it is if I'm over 120 HP and my defense is in complete garbage, I should expect 1 double for like every 8 heal mores or something, because I just don't allow myself to be optimistic about anything that this game gives me.
And Ratliff is not optimistic at all. If he's still swinging on golems, he might try to get 17 down here, which is possible. We'll see what's on that spike, but he's getting there. As long as his resources kind of maintain, as long as he doesn't, roll too poorly or miss some things, it's quite possible. This bottom zone is a little bit dangerous.
Well, he has enough herbs to get completely up to full if he wants to.
He's got to hope for strength at 17. We're talking about 15 stats possibly being able to do this. 16 stats still seem fine. Nothing is going to blow that open. But if 17 is really good, he could possibly lose a heal more to her here and still be able to do it. Unfortunately, we see Ziggy checking the treasury in here and just getting nothing.
And he's also fallen 1,300 experience behind in the process of doing this.
Yeah, if he had managed to go to Grave and get the armor, even though he was behind before, if he had laid on the gas and decided to go like the same way that Ratliff did, I think there is still a reasonable opportunity to get in there before NESCAR. But at this point, I would be very unlikely that NESCAR does not go at 17, pretty much regardless if it happens, just because he's been skirting through too many possible levels.
Yeah, there's definitely a world where Ziggy finds Grave and dives for game at 15 and pulls off a win. Like, that is very much a thing in the tournament that people do. And it just so happens he missed that path, and that sort of thing. If you miss a cave and the cave has armor in it, that pretty much kills your chances right then and there. And we see that Ratliff continues to have this massive experience advantage. He's almost 4,000 ahead now, but at this point it doesn't really matter if Mand decides to go for game at 15.
And Mand is not having as good of a dive as Ratliff. Fighting through the reds, I think he's already lost a couple of heal mores through, so Ratliff looked to be in really good shape. He's now grinding on the Stone Man, which is somewhat interesting. Does Stone Man have something that weakened it? It's not doing a whole lot of damage.
Stone Men have hurt, just like Armored Knights.
Alright, well, that is probably the best thing you could be fighting here, then. It's a little bit faster than the Golem. And we do see Mand nopes out. That dive was not going well for him, and he backed out before it decided to get bad. But yeah, we see NESCAR getting ready for his dive as Ziggy kind of fruitlessly wanders through Charlock.
Stonemen also have heal, and Cardinality has reached level 17. His attack power is now 121 without the Death Necklace, so 131, that's 7 to 15. That's 15 swings. He's got 11 heal mores and probably a couple doubles, I would think. So it is definitely winnable.
And we take the math from NESCAR and apply it to Ratliff. He has 10 Healmores on that same amount. Maybe I think his math hasn't changed at all from what it was before. I think he still has basically the same amount of odds. It's just that he's going to be a lot weaker. Probably have to burn that Healmore before he starts the fight. So he might actually be -1 from if he had went directly at 15 and not done all these fights.
I'd just like to point out how trolly these levels are, because Mand is at 15, he has 93 MP. Ratliff had 94 at 16, and Cardinality had 95 at 17. You need 96 for 12 Healmores, and the game is just saying no repeatedly.
And Ratliff is going for another level. This is what was really curious to me about this, seeing him go what seemed to be early, and just that every race I've seen out of Ratliff so far, he has went probably only at safe win levels. He hasn't really risked anything. So getting 3 levels inside of Sharlock in one dive, that is not something you see very often. Honestly, Beta, that would be the sort of thing I would almost expect you to do.
I did do that once. It was a race where it made me hate the dive and grind strategy, because it's like, all right, I'm a level short, like I just need this much, and then the next level was nothing, and then the next level after that was nothing, and so I was just walking back and forth fighting on the bottom floor of Sharlock over and over again for pretty much like 10 to 12 minutes before I hit go stats. You know, beta things.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I saw you win a race and I peeked at your VOD and it was like, oh, he was grinding on the spike, or he was grinding in the desert next to the spike, and I was scratching my head. Not something that would ever pop into my head, but it obviously has been working for you at least every once in a while.
I mean, that's just an improvisational strategy. It's like sometimes you're just in a scenario where like the game just completely trolls you, but you don't want to give up position. Like if you get to the bottom of Sharlock and you're just right next to the Dragon Lord and the bottom zone is basically free, you don't want to leave. Like you may as well just stay there and kill stuff and get the level that way, because like just diving Sharlock in and of itself is going to take 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, I still like the, I don't even call it like a real serious idea, but I like the idea that there's something like once you get to the basement in Sharlock, you flip a switch and all of a sudden you can just go directly to the basement in Sharlock and not have to walk anymore. Give you some reason to want to do that. And also make a death in Sharlock not quite as bad, because it's pretty much 5 to 6 minutes if it happens.
That's like MMORPG type stuff, where you get to a certain part in an instance and then you trigger a shortcut if you wipe.
Exactly, DWR MMO, or I guess that would be like Dragon Quest X, right?
Sadly, I've never played that. I've only played the NES Dragon Quests. But we have Cardinality on the bottom floor now, and I believe he still has full resources. Yeah, he still has full resources, which is not that surprising, given how weak the Armored Knights are.
And we see Mand in the exact same place as Ratliff. However, he's got everything. Like I think he cast like Repel or something at some point, but he's at full resources, more or less, and going at the Dragonlord. So, in position for our first Dragonlord fight. And while all of this is happening, Ziggy is in grave.
Yeah, I think the interview is going to be pretty predictable at this point with Ziggy. It's going to be like, well, I didn't find the grave, and the grave had the armor, so there you go. But I'm okay, so Mand does have 4 Fairy Waters, which is the most he can have, so he is in position to potentially win this, as long as he gets good rolls and does not get back attacked.
And going directly for the Fairy Waters, that is a 15, that's almost a max roll. Another 15, so starting out with 30 before having to heal more, and these stats is perfect. While he's doing this, NESCAR is starting his own fight. Possible that NESCAR could even catch up just based off of that extra attack.
What I wouldn't give to have these rolls with fairy water.
That was at 15, 15, 16, and 13. That is quite high over the average.
Yeah, 59 on 4 fairy water. Your expectation is just 50.
So Ziggy, I believe, picked up the armor, and he's getting ready to go, but all eyes are on Mand right now, who is in position to win this race and coming first out of our 4 people.
I will pay attention to Cardinality's fight.
I always lose track of the numbers, but looks like it looks like these rolls are still going well, considering his attack range is only 6 to 13. Rolling 11 is perfect.
Cardinality is already at 60 damage.
Yeah, 17 just seemed overwhelming. Meanwhile, Mand is down to 1 last heal more, but I think he's in a comfortable range now. Not 100% sure, but I think he's got it. Might be jinxing him. I think he's actually got to swing kind of high. There it is. GG's out in chat for Mand. Finishes, I believe that was 161, taking down the Dragon Lord, and we'll get the win in our bottom race. Now eyes turn to NESCardinality, who is finishing up his fight in our other race.
Yeah, he's been rolling really well in this fight. I believe a couple of his fairy waters rolled 15. One of his melees rolled 15, so this fight, for all intents and purposes, is free right now. But very well run by SecretAgentMand. He was well behind in experience the entire time, but he had that early exploration lead, and Ratlif decided to get the extra 2 levels, and that's the difference. It's like getting an extra 2 levels is a bit time consuming. I mean, when you're going into the high teens, it's usually about 5 minutes per level. And that allowed Mand to overtake him with a perfect dive. And Cardinality has beaten the Dragon Lord with 2 heal mores in reserve.
Yeah, GG's to him. The race between him and Ziggy was very even at times. But you kind of felt like NESCAR had the lead just based off of that exploration. Finding that the grave early actually helped tremendously. And 161 for the Dragon Lord. Isn't that exactly what Mand had?
I wasn't counting his damage, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Wow, so if that Dragon Lord had 1 more hit point, he would have failed. Well, maybe failed. He had 45 hit points. Not guaranteed that he was going to get killed. But that was a very narrow victory on his part. But yeah, just absolute control over this seed from NESCAR. There wasn't really at any point you felt like he was really running behind. It was just... he kept doing the things, and then they had that proper and correct exploration that helped him get to the end.
Yeah, if you can stay basically tied with your opponent in experience while clearing exploration and getting all of the knowledge before your opponent does, that is a very good situation to be in.
So while we wait to see if we're going to have either of them helping us in chat here in just a moment, we see that Ratlif is on his dive. He's now in the basement of Sharlock. And Ziggy, I think, is just getting ready to go himself, having healed up in Breckenary, which is the closest town. And I believe we have the winner of our top race, NESCardinality, in chat. If you can hear us, let us know.
I can hear you. Just give me 1 second. I have to change an audio setting.
Okie doke. And for possibly the last time we see our experience charts again, we might see, some difference in catching up because one person isn't gaining any experience anymore. But yeah, it looked like the grinding that Ziggy did earlier was useful, but just not being able to find the grave once NESCAR got all of his information and just started grinding, just zoomed right by. And then Ratlif went to a much higher level than everyone else, and that's kind of the story at the end of that seed.
Sorry about that, I am here.
Well, congratulations on your victory. What's your first reactions to the seed?
Well, I had a couple really early Red Dragon deaths in the choke point, and they seemed to be all over the place. Actually, all my deaths seemed to be. It might have been 3 of them. So I was very worried that, that kind of thing would hold me back, and then I made it all the way out to Cole and Cantlin. I had this great exploration, found the Garinham on the mainland, and then suddenly I realized that those were my only 4 deaths. I didn't take any more deaths after that, and I thought I would actually be okay, because exploration went really well, and I had this great order for saving the princess, returning her, getting the token, and getting the rainbow drop. All those things were really precise, right down to getting the rainbow drop before I bought fairy water. I was proud of that one too.
Yeah, I think we sensed the efficiency of the ordering there too. Just people were questioning, well, is he going to get the princess, or is he going to go to grave? And I think we were briefly surprised to see the outside, but then wait, no, that's actually efficient too, because the armor knight has has heal more, and you might have to use even more MP to take it out than otherwise.
Right, I'm glad I saw that on the first fight, because when I saw it, I realized not only did I not want to fight him a second time, but I reasoned that the Green Dragon grind would be slightly better, and I'm confident that I was right about that.
Yeah, I don't think we saw anyone else fight the other one for very long. I think Mand might have went 1 round on it. He can let us know here in just a minute. But the one other decision that seemed to be a possible, race-changing thing was the go level. We saw a couple of people go at 15. I think Mand won at 15. Were you thinking about that at all, or were you waiting on something in particular?
15? It must have been 16, right? I went at 17. Well, I mean, I guess 16 didn't give much of a difference. I thought about it. We would have needed fairy water, but when I got to Sharlock, I was relieved to see armored knights and red dragons, and I thought, okay, probably not a good idea to try at 15 or 16. I was really happy with the decision to go to 17, but it was possible at 15 and 16, so there's that.
All right, and since he's been waiting here for just a minute, SecretAgentMand, GG, and congratulations. Are you able to hear us?
Yeah. Thank you, and GG in NESCard.
GG.
Yeah, I had the exact opposite. First, I preliminary dived into Sharlock just to see what the top floor was on my way to my grind, and I didn't see any red dragons, and I saw, golems, easy to run from, wizards, easy to run from, and I think I was repelling them at that point. Green dragons, not threatening, and armor knights, which seemed to be 75% hurt, so it didn't seem to be threatening. So I was like, I'm diving if there's a fringe level. And then the first attempt I go in there, I see the red dragon on the 2nd floor, and I'm like, oh, well, darn. But I just felt like I was already locked in.
So did you win at 15?
I don't even remember. I won on the level that gave us 6 strength. I don't remember if that was 15 or 16 now.
That sounds like 15 to me. That's impressive. I always tell people as a general rule, you want at least 128 attack power to go. We had 127 with the necklace, and I kept thinking to myself, 11 heal mores, even with fairy water, that's so dependent on Sharlock enemies and all sorts of stuff. So I didn't want to risk it, and it was scary because 16 didn't give anything. I had to go to 17.
Yeah, I felt very risky, but at the same time, I knew I'd have, I think it was 120 HP even after using the death necklace. So I was like, I think I can count on doubles with 82. And I never liked doing that, but it felt viable, and then I just didn't get, I think I got maybe the opening double and then one other double until the closing. So it was very stressful.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's rare that I would go at 127. I mean, I feel like I would want at least 15 heal mores type thing. But that's really cool that you won at 15, and congratulations on winning your race.
Thank you. Congratulations to you too.
Thank you.
To be fair, his fairy water rolls were god tier. He rolled 15, 15, 16, 13, and that helps the cause quite a bit.
I was so happy to see that.
That's sweet. It's very typical for me to alternate attacks and fairy waters, and I opened with a 15 attack, 15 fairy water, 15 attack, 15 fairy water, and at that point I felt pretty good about the whole thing.
Yeah, at that point I just stopped even writing my numbers down.
I really like knowing exactly how much I've done so that I can figure out if I can attack safely on the final go without a heal more. And in this one I could, so I won with 30 hit points, and I had 2 extra heal mores and just attacked.
So about that the damage number, man, so I think we calculated out that you did 161 damage on that last hit, and then we saw that the Dragon Lord had 161 hit points.
Oh my goodness.
Huh. Nice.
Wow, I stopped calculating at one. I generally like before my last heal more, I just make my decision and then just don't even count because I don't want to know at the end if I lose. So I stopped counting before my last heal more and had 138, and I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna try. I think I've got him, and glad to hear that I just barely snuck in there.
Well, you don't get any extra points for doing more damage, so you did exactly what you needed to do. Meanwhile, both of our other racers got to the Dragon Lord. Excuse me. Ratliff did finish and won with a final time of 126.53. Ziggy, however, took a death to the Dragon Lord. I did not see exactly what happened, but I did see a 48 breath. So, yeah, looks like he swung on 48 and got bit for it and has decided to forfeit.
Okay.
Which is understandable. If the race is over and you have something like that happen, it's just like, okay, never mind, we're done.
I didn't realize this was going to be a quad. I always tell people there's no downside to quads. It's great for presentation. I really look forward to watching 4 people play this seed at once later.
It was a really interesting seed.
Yeah, a lot of stuff spread out early. I also I went to Sharlock before Remolder early on, so the combination of those 3 early red dragon deaths and finding keys, a trip later, had me worried about the opening. But everything after that, I felt so good about, and I survived so much. I mean, only 4 deaths.
Hello everyone, GG.
GG.
GG Ratliff, GG Ziggy.
GG. Looks like a lot of us, nobody died much at all, actually.
Yeah, this seed was a interesting combination of extremely long, windy map plus not too many things in the overworld that were scary. The red dragons, of course, are scary, but
Can I complain about Graves' position for a second?
Yes.
Heck, Grave. So what happened to me is I thought that the path to grave that's like only one tile was blocked, and I mapped it like that, and I never found grave. So I dove Sharlock out of desperation, and well, got the bad news pretty quickly.
Yeah, when you first went to that island, and I saw you going through the kind of the swamp to the east of the cave, and then you went back in. We're like, oh wait, is he just going to refresh his resources because you were kind of low? Or like, did he miss that spot? And yeah,
I did miss it. I completely missed it. That's really what I think. I had a really good race by that point. I was going pretty fast. It's kind of a shame that's how it ended, but other than that, the seed was kind of fun to play. It was really, really zoomy indeed. The map was very windy. That's the thing. I thought I had missed a part somewhere in the main continent, so that's why I kind of re-explored the entire main continent a second time.
yeah, and we were all a little concerned about that, but I would say at the point when that happened, I think and not to give spoilers for anyone who wants to watch it back, of course, but I would say that you and NESCAR were pretty even. I think you had an experience advantage for most of the race, but the fact that NESCAR had already seen grave, like he had all of his end game kind of ordered out, so the fact that you were still searching for stuff, I think, kind of would have made a difference either way.
Also decided to swing at 48 for the show. Sadly, the Dragon Lord had other ideas. But yeah, that was funny. That was just for fun at this point.
I'm looking at my chat right now, and people are proud of you for winning at level 15, man. They're saying courageous and gutsy.
It felt really, really, really dangerous when the final swing started happening. I'm so glad it worked out, though. But yeah, I basically made it up in my mind that if there was a fringe level towards the end, I wanted to go on it. And it was just fringy enough.
I want to thank all the organizers again, by the way, for restreaming this one and putting together another very entertaining quad for people. I've noticed, I think already there have been over 100 races in this phase of the tournament alone. It's nothing short of incredible how much has been scheduled and run and organized. So a major thank you to everyone for putting it together.
I think I speak on behalf of everyone that it's our pleasure. I mean, obviously I'm on the other side of this too, but I think just about everyone is. But it's great to have all the volunteers to kind of keep everything organized and be able to show these things. So do any of you have any last comments about the race? I guess we'll start with Mand.
Why is it always blue dragons? But aside from that, thank you for the commentary team and GG to everybody.
Thank you to organizer again. Yep, always super fun to participate in these because everybody's super nice.
Yeah, so thank you all. I found a lot of blue dragons, a flood of them inside Hawksness and right outside as well. Every time I went to heal, every time I came back, just a lot of blue dragons. And I fought one, and when I saw it had a heal spell, I was done with them.
Same.
Yeah, same thoughts for me. Thanks everyone for organizing this. My thoughts on my race were, I think I did okay. I felt like I just did quite a bit of inefficient walking back and forth, and I think one thing that would have helped me a lot is if I would have been able to save the princess at my first attempt, but I died doing that. But yeah, it was a good race and interesting map.
All right. Well, yes. Thank you all for what was a great race. I do hope you watch it back. There was a lot of interesting strategies and stuff you might pick up, just because it didn't seem like there was too much deviation, with the exception, I think, Ratliff, you were very heavy on the grind basically the entire time, and it made a lot of stuff easier at the end. It just didn't work out at the final dive, unfortunately. So, Beta Strep, do you have any last comments for us?
Just a very entertaining race, lots of interesting decisions. It was very enjoyable to watch and to commentate.
All right. Well, for those of you still here, hopefully everyone's still here, of course, I believe we will be having a vodcast coming up soon. I don't remember if that was scheduled for 10 o'clock or if somebody else is in here who knows, please feel free to interrupt me. Oh, okay. It's getting set up. It'll be, I would guess 10, but it might also be as soon as possible. I do not know who it is from, but I would guess somebody who raced today. That is not somebody who raced today, so good. Good deal. So stick around for that. That will be coming up shortly. So I will go ahead and take us out then on behalf of my co-commentator Beta Strep, our tracker doing double duty tonight, Schmike, thank you, and our restreamer as Madi Games. I am Aaron to you too, and we will see you here in just a few minutes. Thank you very much.